Hello and welcome back Code Slayers. I am Abdul Rahman, and in this video we will discuss about introduction to C++ and the C++ basics. So let's get started with our topics of this video. For introduction of C++, we will discuss four topics, which are introduction to C++, program design process, layout of a C++ program, and finally a simple C++ program. I will discuss about the C++ basics in the later part of this video. So let's get started with the introduction. So C++ is a general purpose object oriented programming language which is compiled in nature. In 1977, Bjarne Stroustrup, who was a Danish computer scientist, was working on his PhD thesis. He was also head at AT&T Labs. He was creating something like C with classes. By name, you can understand that this language is derived from C language. So he had added some classes and other features to C programming language, and then he named it C++ in 1983. So let's talk about some program design process of C++. So the first step of program design process is problem, yeah, or idea analysis. So this is a mental concept in which we think about the problem in our brain. Then comes the algorithm designing, which is a sequence of steps that we are using to approach the solution of a given problem. After that comes pseudocoding, which is a logical expression of steps that we are going to take. This is closely related to writing the code in programming language, but it is in a human language. After that comes the step of flowcharting. This is visual modeling on paper, and then there comes a process of coding, which is writing the code using a programming language into the IDE. When we write a code into IDE, it generally has some errors which are of syntax and logical nature. So we come to process of debugging, which is finding and solving the errors. After that comes compilation or linking. This is translation into object code or machine language code. Then comes execution or loading, which is processing of that code. And then we come to our result of problem that we are given. So here is layout of a C++ program. The first thing shown in this is a comment, because it is starting with a double slash. It has no effect on the output, but it is used to tell other programmers, or sometimes it is for easiness of yourself in programming. Then comes preprocessor directive. This starts with a pound sign or hashtag sign. This line is hashtag include IOStream. Then comes using namespace standard, which is the process of telling compiler that we are using a standard namespace. Then comes int main. This is the beginning of function named main. Then comes a curly bracket, which shows the beginning of main function. Then there is an output statement, which is cout brackets and inverted commas, hello there. Then comes a return 0 which sends 0 to operating system. Then we use a close curly bracket to end the block for main function. Let's see the special characters used, which are double slash, which are used for beginning of a comment. Then comes pound sign, which is used in beginning of a preprocessor directive. Then comes open and close brackets, which enclose file name in hashtag include. Then comes open and close parentheses, which are used when naming a function. Then comes open or close brace, which encloses a group of statements. Then comes open and close quotation marks, which encloses a string of characters. And semicolon is used at end of programming statement. Now let's talk about include directive. Include directive when we have to insert contents of a file into program that we are writing. Preprocessor directive is not part of C++ language. Preprocessor directives are lines that are included in a program that begin with the character hashtag, which make them different from a typical source code text. They are invoked by the compiler to process some programs before compilation. Hashtag include lines cannot be seen by compiler, and there is a syntax that tells us that we do not have to place a semicolon at end of hashtag include line. So here is a simple C++ program. This program is used to display hello world on the screen. So let's talk about cout object. Cout object is used to display output on the screen. This is stream insertion operator, which is shown in green. This is used to send output to cout line. So let's talk about endline manipulator. We can use the endline manipulator to start a new line of output. This will produce two lines of output. For example, if we want to use two different lines to print programming is fun, then we will use endline manipulator right after programming is. So remember that we have to put a semicolon because it is part of syntax. Mentioned before, we have to learn about C++ basics in this video as well. So without any further ado, let's start with the topics. The topics include data types, data hierarchy, syntax and logic errors, output statement, constant and variables, arithmetic operators, operator precedence, and input statement. But we will discuss only 3 in this video. So let's get started with the data hierarchy first. So I have arranged the data according to its size. Bit is the smallest storage for a data. Then comes byte, then field, then record, then file, and then database. Bit is the smallest unit of storage of data. It stands for binary digit. Its possible value is 1 or 0. Its simple manipulation is examining, setting, and revising bits value, that is 1 or 0. So what's a character? Character are digits or letters that can range from 0 to 9, A to Z, and some special symbols which are shown in the brackets. They are used to write programs and represent data variables. Each character is represented in unique sequence of bits, ones or zeros. Byte byte is sequence of 8 bits. A simple example of a byte is given as follows. What are fields? Fields are composed of character or bytes. Group of character of bytes that conveys meaning. Example, groups of characters represent names and cities. Groups of decimal digit represents age and quantity. Records. What are records? Group of related fields form a record. Example, record of a student contains these fields: student ID, name, father's name, date of birth, city, course or degree. And then comes file. What is a file? File is group of related records from a file. It contains arbitrary data. Organizations have many files containing billions of or trillions of characters of information. Database. Electronic collection of related data files organized for easy access or manipulation is called a database. Popular database model is relational database. Other models contain hierarchical database and network database. Data stored in tables in a file. A table contains records or fields. Data for each student is recorded. Individual pieces of information in records are field. Data can be searched, sorted, and manipulated based on its relationship to multiple tables or databases. So let's start about the data types. Data type. Why a data type is used? Let's find answers to this. Data type is a classification of data which tells the compiler or interpreter how the programmer intends to use the data. So now let's talk about why data type is used. Data type defines the operations that can be done on the data, the meaning of the data, the way values of that type can be stored. So I have given a table in which there are data types and the keywords used for them. You can pause the video to see this table. In this table, I have given the data types, their sizes, and their ranges of data that can be stored in them. So let's move forward to syntax and logic errors. First, what is the syntax error? Syntax error is such an error which is caused by violation of rules of a programming language. It is detected by compilers and interpreters during the compile time or execution respectively. They are easily detected by compilers during debugging process. What are common syntax errors? These might range from missing semicolon to undetermined string by missing quotation mark. They can also be undeclared variable, a missing namespace reference, unmatched parentheses, or anything else. So let's see a common example of a syntax error. Here is a syntax error which is pretty much common by programmers. This is a missing semicolon. Let's see in the main function in output printing line. There is a missing semicolon after hello there. This will easily be detected by the compiler during compilation. Now let's move towards logical errors. What are logic errors? These are errors that we get to know by results. I mean that when we write a program, the result does not comes according to our desire, and compiler shows that everything is fine. Errors can also result in runtime errors. They are not detected by compiler, so they are harder to detect. Let's see a logic error in the given program. In this program, there is a logical error where I have to take a sum right in here, but I have used the statement of subtraction instead of taking sum. Now I will see that there is no syntax error in the program, but whenever I give inputs or something else, the output would be wrong. Now I will have to brainstorm myself and look at the code again and again to detect a small problem and a small error in the code. So that's why this is a tough error to detect. Okay, so it's time for you to ask questions by commenting down below if you have any questions. Don't forget to share this video, share our channel, and subscribe to our channel to become the part of CodeSlayers army. And finally, thank you, and CodeSlayer Abdurrahman out.